Hello, beautiful people of the world. It is us after a long, hard-fought battle. We are back podcasting, doing what we love to find some break of this monotonous life that we live that has turned into turmoil in the grounds of our desperation. But we are back.
I would have just said we had to fight several alternate versions of ourselves, But that's fine, too.
They don't know the tribulations we went through.
Was it a fight or was it a victory?
It was a success in progress.
Yeah, but we've been busy. We've done things. We've consumed a lot of media since we've been gone, and a lot of fantastic media, if I do say so myself.
I thought you were going to say alcohol for a second. I was like,
no.
No. We can consume more than one thing.
I mean, true, but no. I mean, not me, at least. I don't know about you, gentlemen. I know, Strange, you were a DJ. And in case you forgot who we are, I am Static Dreads, joined by Bow Before Zog and Strangely Entertaining.
Hi.
Yeah, and some of the amazing media we have watched since we've last talked to you guys has been Across the Spider-Verse, which has been a phenomenal movie. We've seen it in theaters multiple times. We've expressed this is a true love project of love, and we're going to talk about it and the reasons why we love it, the reasons why you love it, and if you haven't seen it, for the love of Nancy, why are you even existing if you haven't seen this movie yet? Okay, that's rude. But
not inaccurate, though.
Go watch the movie. It's super good. It's super wholesome.
Fucking phenomenal. I love it. Remember, this was originally marketed as part 1. I would still not get over the fact that everyone just forgot Infinity War was a part 1 and lost their damn minds on a cliffhanger.
We're going to talk about that too.
This is the same thing. It's a part 2 of a trilogy. This is the Empire Strikes Back version. You gotta get the third one before you get the complete story.
Yeah,
stop bashing it just because you don't understand it.
Hopefully, they take their time. As Twitter is blowing up with all sorts of Spider-Verse drama. I don't know what that's all about, but
we'll get into that too.
Okay.
I have a pretty good understanding of what that's about, and it's kind of interesting because But let's start first. What's most important is the movie.
It's so good.
So the movie came out June 2nd here in the States, which is precisely 24 days since we've recorded this, which is 3 weeks, which is funny because that means on average I've seen this movie once per week. But I don't regret it at all.
It's only been 3 weeks?
Yes, it's only been 3 weeks.
Oh, god damn.
And this movie has...
I've spent so much money on this movie.
Yeah, I think it's grossed about $530 million thus far. It debuted at number 1 in the box office, and then it
deserved to.
And then it made it back to number 1 in the box office, beating out The Flash and Transformers and some other thing that I don't care
Elemental.
about. Maybe Elemental. Yeah.
And to be fair to that, there wasn't a whole lot of competition. If it hadn't made it back there, there's something wrong with that whole situation. Somebody's fudging up those numbers.
I mean, there was some cult fan bases trying to see The Flash, but I do find it funny that The Flash wasn't number 1 on its opening weekend because Spider-Verse had made it back up there, which gives me so much joy.
But
this is the correct timeline.
Who wouldn't want to go see Ezra Miller put a baby in the microwave?
So I guess that was in reverse.
It was.
Because he was pulling the baby out of the microwave.
It was. Somebody did actually a really good job of editing because I know that's reversed, but the way the woman's screaming, I think they must have chopped that part right there to make it play forward because it was very convincing what I saw.
All I know is that in order for someone to have pulled that kid out of the microwave, someone had to put it in there.
Oh, he did. But he was rescuing it from an exploding building or something. I don't know. I don't really go here to from the apparently.
I haven't seen this movie, so
the DC fans love it. I don't know. I wouldn't go watch it for just because.
So everyone that I've talked to who is actually going to go see this movie says it is absolutely horrible. Like literally, I'll put it this way: our friend Marcus, the homie, said that Spider-Verse may have been the best movie that he's ever seen, and then he said The Flash may have been the worst movie that he's ever seen.
This sounds accurate.
My cousin, who saw them both, said he went on an experience of wonder and like self-discovery and cried during Across the Spider-Verse. He also said he cried for all the opposite reasons when he watched The Flash. He felt uncomfortable. Like, I kid you not, he said he felt uncomfortable and dirty, and he went home and took 2 showers. Because, yeah. So, like...
oh, my God.
And
the problem with that is, since he took the shower, he washed off all the evidence and whatnot, so he can't like, get payback for the movie.
Yeah, and the worst part, even though this is about Across the Spider-Verse not bashing the Flash, but like apparently Michael Keaton couldn't even save the Flash, which is sad because it's like Michael Keaton. And
yeah, the entire reason I wanted to go and see it. Fucking Michael Keaton.
And then you hear a horrible thing because DC said if the Flash would have done well, they would have done a Michael Keaton Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
so
right.
Where he's
I
old man
don't
Batman.
believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a hot second.
Well, people have been petitioning for Batman Beyond for a while.
Yes, I want my Batman Beyond. I want this shit. I do believe that they would stake the whole other project on the success of this one. Only as all those people want this thing, so they better make our current thing successful. And then we'll half-ass the thing they wanted.
Yeah. Consume product.
Instead of doing, caring about the product that they make and actually trying to make it the best they can.
And we'll see, because James Gunn says he's going to do a Static Shock movie. He says he's going to do a Batman Beyond movie. But honestly, I just feel like he was saying a bunch of hype stuff just to, like, kind of gas up DC, since, like, people have lost so much hope in it. Like,
that may be true. But if he doesn't end up doing them, that's on the studio. James Gunn usually follows through with this shit. He usually means that shit when he wants to do it.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm also kind of iffy, because I'm like, Static Shock might just be one of those things. Like, okay, here's what happened, speaking of Across the Spider-Verse movie. Everybody was like, yo, we want a live-action Miles Morales movie. I was like, no, I think the animated one is perfect. Like, I don't feel like we need...
But it's for children. If you do it in live action, you could have swearing and boobs in it.
And
violence.
You can do that in animation, and also anyone having that opinion can go straight to hell. I'll drive the bus there for you. But god damn it, none of that is true. Also, these animated movies are fucking perfect. For me, this is already probably the best trilogy of movies I've ever seen in my life, and we're only on the second one. They could easily fumble the ball at the end. They could easily make Beyond the Spider-Verse one of the worst movies ever. It is totally possible. I don't believe that's ever going to be the case.
They're going to have to try for that one, I think, at this point.
They would actively have to sabotage that. Beyond the Spider-Verse is set up so well just to be one of the best, most fantastic movies of the decade.
I agree 110%. I also feel like there's just so much love for animation. Spider-Verse is changing animation. It's like it's got its own. It's like inspiring like shows and movies like Puss in Boots,
which on its own was so fucking good.
I still need to. I want to watch that. I just haven't gotten around.
I'm gonna sit both of you down and make you watch that.
I'm fine with that, actually.
I'll watch
it. Fucking great.
And then you have like also the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is in the same art style or like a mirroring art style of this type of animation.
It has its own style, and I just have to say, I'm so happy. That trailer has style, and they still look ugly. That just imagining Turtle as a human teenager, that's gonna be an ugly kind of thing, but it still looks awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of just like special for me, and I think there's just so much like beauty going into Across the Spider-Verse. Like I feel like there is just so much that's being added and like taken care of, and just like everything is just so wondrous, and like and when you watch it, you see the detail, and like I've been watching all these interviews and like stuff and reading behind the scenes of like the stuff that Phil Lord and the rest of the team did, and how they've just been building off of the first movie, and how each Spider-Man, there's 238 different Spider-Man in this movie, Across the Spider-Verse, and all the main ones we see have different whip noises. Like that's how minute the like love and care for the stuff is.
They have different thwips. They have different movements. They have different. Everything about them is unique and different.
Yes, like, and then just like the fact of.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so before I can talk about like all this, we need to like give the plot of the movie. So when I say Hobie is the GOAT, you can know why Hobie is the GOAT.
Dude, just know Hobie is the fucking GOAT.
Yes. So this movie
we're assuming you have seen Spider-Verse. If you have not, why are you watching this? Go watch the movie and then come back.
Yeah, if you haven't, you're a trash man.
Like,
no,
actively. Normally, I don't give a shit if you watch this first and then go see the thing. No, see the thing first.
Yes. Aggressive warning. We have given you 10 minutes of aggression. Go watch it if you haven't. Okay.
I'd have gone with assertive, but all right.
Yes. So assuming that you've watched it and getting into the movie reviews, spoilers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
The spot is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. So this movie picks off directly where we left off. Well, not directly, but
a couple months later.
A year and a half
a couple
later.
months. That's right.
A year and 6 months later, to be exact. Post Into the Spider-Verse, Miles is now living as this world's what?
Dog.
Well, you just looking at my face.
Yeah.
Sorry. To be exact, it's a year and 4 months. When Miles takes up. I think it's like a year after when Gwen opens up the movie after the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, easy round out, year and a half.
Yeah. So you're in some change of Miles being the only Spider-Man for this 616 universe.
No,
I believe?
1610.
1610, yeah, 1610. 1610 universe, which is important because of reasons. So he's been
not like it's a multiverse.
Yeah, so it opens up. Well, it actually opens up with Gwen, who is telling her story to one of the best songs off the freaking soundtrack, Self Love, which I love that song so much.
And that is a tall statement because this soundtrack slaps, man.
Yes, this soundtrack is only rivaled by Digimon the movie soundtrack. Like, and that wasn't even fair because those weren't even songs. No, it's not even rival because those songs weren't made specifically for the Digimon movie. This soundtrack is undefeated. Like, maybe Lion King is close, but like, the Circle of Life. Come on now. That's not anyway. So Gwen is telling the story of her Spider-Woman, which is like I love the way these movies do this. I love the narration and like just the story. So we find out more about Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider, aka Spider-Woman.
Yeah, I love that they in the first one they gave you the whole let's do this one more time, give the real quick rundown backstory. Here, you actually see the shit happen. Like, as she moves through, you see the transitions of civilian Gwen to Spider-Woman, and then it transitions into flashbacks of her origin and everything. And oh,
yes, and then we get like this heavy drums of just like loud, angry of her playing the drums, and then she's like storms off, and then she's like walking through the subway.
I was gonna say the repetition of like this is her after the events, which I didn't really pick up on till second watch. But this is her after the events of what happens in the movie, and I'm like, Just like, and he's not the only one. I'm just like, yeah, it's deep.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I definitely picked up that a lot of at least half the scenes of her like going through her mind and everything are going to be stuff happening in this movie rather than in the other half or ones from the last movie. But they did such a good job of like blocking off and just taking out the backgrounds of certain things that unless you've seen it once or twice before, you don't know what the context or any of those are. So they were a little confusing the first time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we straight up get to see the lizard or Peter Parker attack Gwen and how she ends up losing her best friend.
That was rough.
And yeah,
That was a little rough. Just the whole thing with her dad and stuff.
the Spider-Man stories try to make the any death that happens to him emotional or whatnot. They didn't have to try with this one. It just was.
Yeah, no, this was very dark. And I loved how this movie was like, it wasn't like, super edgy, but it was like, it had dark, real moments that were treated the right way. Like, in Gwen's story, you see that she's kind of framed for killing her Peter Parker, which was her best friend.
By her own father.
Yes. And then, like, one of the most powerful scenes in the movie is right there at that beginning after she just finished fighting the Vulture with Spider-Man 99, Jessica Drew, who just jumped through a portal. I know we're kind of blissing through this, but, like, when like she takes off her mask,
it's a lot.
When she you've seen the movie, you don't need us to do this.
You could do an entire movie just based off an entire like 3-hour long movie just based off the shit that happens in the first 20 minutes, and that's the shit before the title sequence.
Yes. So
this is just where we start.
Yes. So Gwen is like she's exhausted because she just used all her spider webbings and tired. So her dad, Sergeant Stacy, is like
Captain.
pulling a gun. Yeah, Captain Stacy is like, hey, get on
You're
the
under
ground.
arrest.
And she's like, well, there. And she's like, and then he just shoots in the air. And he's like, I want to ask you again. So she gets down and she's like, I got my card. So she takes off her mask and she's like, it's me. I'm sorry I lied to you. I just want to tell you. I don't know how, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you have the right to remain silent. And she's like, Dad. And he's like, anything you say can. And then, like, that scene was so heartbreaking, bro. You could hear a feather drop in the movie theater because it was so tense, bro. Like, and how they just cut the sound on that, too, in the movie. Like, a lot of people didn't know this. There was no background music. It was just, like... the voices, and I'm just like, Haley Steinfeld, bro, like you and whoever Gwen's dad is, disrespect for me not knowing who the voice actor is, but, like
they did fucking amazing.
They did absolutely crazy. I'm gonna look
shout out to the sound design guy too, because
yes,
that was the perfect choice, cutting out the sound there. I do have a question for you guys.
Yes.
Gwen's dimension, whereas a massive throwback to her original creators, the original comic designers' backgrounds and everything, that watercolor. But in her scene, it changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that dimension, like almost like the background is like a mood ring kind of thing. In the designs and everything change. How do you guys feel about that?
I love it.
No, that's great.
Especially because I was watching an interview with Haley Steinfeld, because that's what I do. I go and watch, when I'm obsessed with the movies, I go and watch every piece of media out on them. And Haley Steinfeld said, like, the direction she was given by Phil Lord and the other directors is think of Gwen Stacy's world as a mood ring. And seeing that portrayed makes so much sense. And the emotion, how everything was just conveyed, was just like, oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
It definitely hit pretty hard when you're seeing that whole he's arresting his daughter moment, and you just see these blocks behind him, like they're like the doors being closed on him, and he's just trying to squeeze through, trying to see that light on the other side.
Yeah.
And it just gets dark behind Gwen.
it was.
There's a lot.
You don't even need the characters in that scene for that to hit. You can just take them out, have the dialogue over those fucking backgrounds, and you still get the whole story.
Yeah,
But anyway,
And that's just the first 20 minutes.
yes, it is. Anyway, 2099 does the one good thing he does in the whole damn movie and saves Gwen. Any other time he shows up in the movie, he's kind of an asshole.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, most def. I mean,
Yeah.
And I understand why. I get the point. And I don't want to, how do I put this? Massive quotes around this, but he's justified in being this kind of asshole. And it's understandable why, but still an asshole.
yeah. I mean, 100%. I stand by that. Like, and he has his moments and everything, and he kind of begrudgingly takes. Well, like when he saved her from the gunshots, like that was like.
I don't think her dad was actually gonna shoot her. He still held a loaded gun up to her.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking intense.
I could.
The fact that he could just throw like a little thing on the ground, and he stole the gun away, threw the thing on the ground to immobilize him, de-escalated the situation very quickly. So
Yeah, I don't want to like sympathize isn't the right word, but I could see he was probably Gwen's dad was struggling internally at that point of like, what should I do? Like, it's my daughter, but also there's my job. Like,
it's one thing. Yeah, it's one thing if it's like, oh, she told me the secret at home where it's chilled, relax. It's another thing of, I just nearly died 6 times in the past 6 seconds. And the person I'm looking at right now is the same person I thought killed my daughter's best friend at her school during a party she was supposed to be at with a ton of collateral damage, and have been hunting for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
2 wild different circumstances. I can't blame him for defaulting into a state where he knows how to control things. But at the same time, still a dick.
Yeah, no, I like it wasn't at all justified, and also apparently the Da Vinci dimension is just completely broken. My goodness, I did not know Vulture could have that many weapons on him.
He's got hammer space, man.
The hammer space. He's got
anyone
bombs,
who doesn't,
grenades.
anyone who hammer space.
No, I know what hammer space is. It's
oh, okay.
It was a
anyone
reference.
Who doesn't know, just look that up.
It was a reference to the cartoon logic, I guess. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Cartoon and comic logic of them just pulling random shit out of nowhere. Spider-Ham from the first one.
Yeah.
He's got hammer space.
If they don't bring that hammer back,
I want you to have that.
No.
I don't.
If Miles
I need that
if Miles doesn't pull that hammer out at the end or something, I'm gonna lose it. I'm like, no, it was right there.
That's how he beats Spot. He just pulls the hammer out of his pocket and hits him over the head with it.
It's toon logic. It doesn't make any sense, much like this villain.
Yeah.
God
Which didn't need to be this good, but he was. And something from the last movie that was just, I know we're jumping ahead,
right.
but I feel like if we're still talking about the first 20 minutes of the movie, we're never going to move
on.
There's so much. So that's how Gwen ends up joining Miguel O'Hare, which is, there's a huge difference between the Miguel O'Hare we saw at the end of the first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, and this one. So he's like jacked up.
About like 50 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, which apparently that's a like actual choice. Like, it's supposed to show the stress and, you know, the hardships of this job that he has, that he just puts all of his time into working out and trying to be stronger, because like of the actions that have happened since he was last, seen, and we all know what that is. The canon. Oscar Isaac. Can we just give a round of applause for this man?
Oh
This
my
man
God,
has
he's
now-
so fucking good.
This man is so talented, bro. So the whole cast, Shamik Moore, Haley Seinfeld, bro.
Yeah,
Everybody.
okay. I was on the fence about Oscar Isaac with the Star Wars sequels. Poe was a good character, but
That was
there
never
just,
his fault.
That was not his fault. That was not his fault.
I don't blame
But
any of the
so
actors except
when-
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, there wasn't enough to make a good judgment call on any of them either, because there wasn't, when they were cast, there wasn't a whole lot of them. That being said, he has made a massive career comeback, even though this has just been the trajectory of his career since it started.
Yeah.
Fucking
Dune.
Moon Knight. Who else was he in Marvel?
He was Apocalypse.
He was
From
Apocalypse.
X-Men.
Oh my god.
If you count that, which I don't blame him for that either. That was
Hey,
just,
still Marvel.
yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah,
No, he's Miguel O'Hara.
he convinced me that he was an amazing actor with Moon Knight. The fact that he could just swap between these wildly different characters. Dude's an insane talent. And I love that he's bringing his A game with Miguel O'Hara.
Everybody brought their A game, bro. Like voice acting wise, like Jessica Drew. I'm so mad I forget her name, but I'm sorry, Queen. You know who you are. But that's not an excuse. I shouldn't forget her name. I have the internet. What am I doing? But everybody on the cast was just so good, and it just was like what I really liked is Daniel Kaluuya as Spider-Punk also really took me, because I didn't know that was him. Like it didn't register to me until we got out of the movie.
Obi.
I'm like, yo, that's Daniel Kaluuya. Like that's Get Out. That's like the dude from Black Panther whose name I always forget. But like there's so many people. Just to name a few standouts, Issa Rae. That's who Jessica Drew is. I love her. She did a great job. But like I said, yeah, Haley Steinfeld, Oscar Isaac, Shamika Moore, Karen Sony, who's the dude from Deadpool, like the taxi cab driver in Spider-Man India,
Fucking
was crazy. Like
That one flew over my head at first. Mostly because he put so much enthusiasm and passion into each of his lines. I thought he was a completely different dude.
yeah, like I was like, okay, that's what's up, man. And the fact that he helped rewrite that character too, because like people reached out to him and was like, hey, the kind of Spider India we have is kind of yeah. Can you help us make him better? And
We got a bunch of stereotypes. That's all we know. Can you help us make it more authentic?
yeah, and he came up with the chai tea thing himself, and I was like, that's one of my favorite lines.
Oh, chai tea! I love chai tea. Chai
What do
tea.
you
You
tea?
what? You
And then when he said, "Don't eat, pray, love
don't
me,
eat,
bro,"
pray, love
I
me,
was
bro.
that.
Chai tea. I love chai tea. No.
It's a competition between him and Hobie on who's got the funniest lines in this movie.
Yeah,
Like-
it's just
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm like now I really want.
And-
I do want to know more about like these characters, and I think this is a great way to kind of introduce them to people. Like I had no idea
yeah.
there were so many. I didn't even.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean I knew there were a lot of them. I just didn't know there was that many, much less a T-Rex. And apparently that was an
Yeah, there's
actual
a-
thing. I'm like,
Yeah, here's how he got his powers
Yeah.
from a meteor filled with spiders.
yeah, that makes sense, I guess. And then he was
Why
a
the fuck-
pterodactyl, right? And he got like body swapped. Yeah, he was a pterodactyl. He started off as a pterodactyl.
Shit.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know about that.
Oh, you didn't
one.
know that? No, because like, so what happened? He got bit by the meteorite filled with radioactive spiders, while being bit by the Osborn T-Rex or something like that. It was a play off of Norman. Well, he gets like bit, and then they swap bodies or something. And so then now Norman is in the pterodactyl body, and he's the T-Rex. Who comes up with this
hilarious.
stuff? I have no idea.
Like, I just
comic
want
book writers with too much time on their fucking hands and not enough canon.
I just want you all to know, though, like, the voice cast for this movie is so damn deep that Ziggy Marley is in it. And and now that I know who he played, I'm like, it makes perfect sense. He was the store clerk at the beginning when Miles was like, yo, Lenny, how much for the infidel? Like,
how much are you for this beef patty, man? Spatty, if you get him, it's free.
Yes, that was Ziggy Marley, and then like I feel so dumb for now just finding out that Aaron Davis was Mahershala Ali. Like,
you didn't know that?
I mean, I did, but I always forget it because it's crazy. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
And then like Toombs is like the other member. Like Adrian Toombs is the other member of Lonely Island. So I'm like, okay, like, and like.
Metro Boomin was in there for a second. He was
yes,
nowhere to run. My bad, guys.
There was somewhere to run. I love how they actually gave him a spider sona for that.
Yes, and like he's like man, it makes me so happy to see like other people just nerding out.
Great.
Like, and then of course Andy Samberg as Ben Reilly. Like, was just everybody was great.
Oh, I heard about that before the movie came out, and I was so skeptical. But the moment he only has like a handful of lines, but each one's great.
All of them brooding.
Yes. I'm sorry. Hey Ben, sorry. I'm just thinking about my past. We just need to hear for some reason. That was a particularly harrowing memory. It's like,
yeah.
What the shit?
And him just flexing
Going
in the
into
middle
the
of
alley.
web slinging was just so great.
It's an entire commentary on what the comics of the 90s were.
Yes.
It's as much of a meme as they should be.
And there are 5 people, or sorry, 6. Really just a whole cast, but there's 6 standout people. Okay, 8 standout people who in this cast I feel like are Oscar worthy based off their voice actors' performances. Like, of course, Haley Steinfeld is Gwen, Oscar Isaac, Shamik. We know about them. We love them.
We got the main cast. Each one of the main casts.
Yeah, Daniel Kaluuya
deserves it, but
yeah, but like 2 sleepers, I feel like are Jason Schwartzman as the Spot and Brian Tyree Henry as Miles' dad. Like, cause
I love both of them. Like literally. Hold on. Okay, hold on. So I know I love both of them, honestly, because it's like the Spot, like the voice acting for him is spot on, and they basically did, and everybody's kind of making the joke, but they really did take a joke character and actually make him kind of threatening at the end there. It's like, seriously, I'm not just a villain of the week anymore, Spider-Man. I'm going to crease your J's.
Oh, my God.
God damn it. But yeah, the Spot was always a joke villain in the comics and any other form of media.
The 90s Spider-Man.
The 90s Spider-Man. That was the episode for the Spot is said to be the worst episode ever made for the 90s Spider-Man. And it set up such... Actually, that episode is what they used to help set up the original Spider-Verse event, which came from that series.
Oh.
The fact that they're using the Spot now as a main villain to tie up this trilogy is poetic as hell and amazing. And they picked a perfect voice for this guy, going from the comedic aspect of at the beginning of the movie to in the middle, he turns into the biggest threat Spider-Man ever faced before.
Yeah,
which is so insane. I know that payoff in itself will actually probably be worth it to go see the movie. Just like think of all the crazy things. Like you thought the Collider in the first movie was bad. Wait till this guy comes in and he's just gonna. Oh gosh, it's gonna. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a hot mess. But like,
and I'm gonna love every second of it.
and taking apart from the first movie some background character we didn't even know existed, but like we kind of saw.
You don't remember me? You hit me in the head with a bagel.
You hit me with a bagel. Yeah. And then the meme everybody goes and does. They show the clip of Miles throwing the bagel, and then it has Miguel's theme. It's like the bagel.
I
effect.
love it. I love it.
I created you. You created me. Spider-Man, why'd you create that guy? I didn't. He's talking crazy.
I love that. I love that scene.
The whole scene is perfect.
Oh my god.
I also love their
guess he
Spider-Man
kicked
and
his
the
own
Spots
butt.
relation. I love that Spider-Man and the Spots relationship is supposed to be like the whole we are destined nemesis because we created each other, blah 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 blah. The Michael Keaton Joker and Batman relationship.
Yeah. I'm your nemesis.
It's
No, you're
treated
not.
like at the beginning. It's when he's all about that. It's treated as much of a joke as it should be, and he just because the Spot's not taken seriously, he's just like, okay, dimensions die now.
Yeah. Yeah, which is wild. That is so wild how good of a villain he is. And so the Spot is also the catalyst for all this happening, and like where we find out about the canon and the interconnectivity web verse or whatever Miguel called it, which was
Look, it's a stupid name.
humanoid metaverse or something like that. He's like, which is also a stupid name.
It's a stupid name. It's just the Spider-Verse.
Arachnoid human yeah. All right.
Arachno humanoid.
It's like the Spider-Verse.
Something. It's so stupid. It's so stupid that I don't even want to keep going with it. I cannot believe they ever got a take of Oscar Isaac saying that with a straight face.
Yeah. No, that's so crazy. And that's how you know how good actors, bro, they are. Everything just felt so delivered so
natural.
well. It felt natural. It felt like these were like real creatures. Like it's
every person feels like every character feels like an actual person.
Yeah,
that
it doesn't
you could
feel
know.
like Haley Steinfeld voicing something or Oscar Isaac or Shamik Moore. It feels like these characters,
This
which is such a
feels
beautiful
like
thing.
Gwen, Miguel, Miles, all of them. They all just.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.
So, and then we see, like, after we see this whole altercation with the Spot, and then Miles is trying to, like, has this big kerfuffle with his family, which is another underlying theme of this. It's just family. And
It
it's
always
so,
comes back to family.
That whole interaction.
nobody make a Fast and Furious joke. But it's
Look, no, man. Fast and Furious made that shit a joke. This shit made it awesome.
yeah, and it's so real to see that too, because a lot of people were saying, like, in the voice actor, Liana or Lorita, God, I'm gonna butcher her name, but I'm stupid. It's Lauren. So Lauren Viez, who has been in many stuff. She was in Dexter. She was in I Like It Like That. She was in Shaft. All that stuff. But when she was saying that, because she is also the descent of these characters, she is Puerto Rican and black. So she's like, her mom told her that phrase that she told Miles, and they added that in there from her because Phil Lord, the director, was like, yo, how would this be said? Because her mom said she watched the first movie, and she's like, there are some things, that I felt like, a Puerto Rican mom would say and wouldn't say, and if they added those, a lot of people were saying that this felt so natural and just really helped them come to terms with their parents. And, like, I know people, Strange knows people, Strange might be married to people, whose mother needs to take a hint from Rio, Like, there's...
I honestly, Rio best animated mom. She fucking is. She's so good.
Whenever she snaps, the Puerto Rican flag shows up. When she snapped, the Puerto Rican flag shows up.
So good.
Miles.
Also, and I know I'm skipping way ahead to the end right here, but I absolutely love that she finds out her kid is in trouble, and there's someone going to look for him and help him, and her immediate thought as a mom is just, when you find him, he's now grounded for 5 months.
5 months.
Tell him 5 months.
5 months.
And that we love him.
Yeah.
That is such a mom thing.
And there's just that whole interaction with the party as well. Was like, it was a good. The whole movie is just a good mix of comedy and like seriousness.
Your father studied for 8 months. 9. It was like giving birth. No, it wasn't. Okay.
Okay, you're right, honey. Okay.
Yeah.
The whole family dynamic is amazing.
Yeah, and then when
and when Miles gives that speech at the end about how his family is what gives him strength, you could believe it. Just how they interact with each other.
Yeah, like the fact that, oh my God, the fact that when she's giving the speech, look how broad his shoulder is. He was a breech baby. He's like, okay.
He was a 10-pound he was 10 pounds as a baby. Basically tore his mother in half.
He's like, okay.
Like, okay, no more speeches for you.
Definitely wrestle the mic away from her.
Yeah, like we love it, and just the belief and stuff that they instill in their son Miles is just so good and wholesome, and yeah. So, but of course, there's that this family drama that happens of Miles being late with the cake because, of course, he's Spider-Man, and there's always that Spider-Man can't tell people who he is, so they can only know half of him, which is like a whole driving point of the story. So that incident happens again. You're not gonna go through the whole movie because it'll take hours. But then Gwen shows up through the portal, which we saw at the end of the first movie, and she kind of rude. I ain't gonna lie. She just got her shoes on the bed, like going through this man's private stuff. Open his figure face.
Audible.
I was triggered. I was triggered.
I let out an audible. I said, like
every guy felt like Miles for a second there, being like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just look at her. Forget the figure. Look at her. Look at her.
Yeah, I would have. I would have. When I was standing, again, gonna skip around. When I was standing on the train, and I was like, "Goodbye, Gwen." You broke my fucking figure. I would have had to add that. I would have been like, "Oh Lord,
fucking
yeah,
it's worthless now."
And he was like, "That was my canon event." Seriously though, like I got.
Then they do like
speaking of amazing interactions with them, the first movie is shipping Miles and Gwen was just basically like, oh, fanboys, they be fanboys and girls, whatever, they be cute together, yada yada. This one makes you believe that's actual end game shit. That shit was planned.
I will fight any and everybody. I think it was planned. It had to be. Like it was like. There is no way you can tell me like Gwen and Miles was not planned, like because we have it in the comics. Well, it doesn't work out.
In the comics, it sucks. It was shoehorned in the
Even
comics,
Gwen
and
says
basically was just like, "Hey, we're just gonna make this happen because it's a cute idea and kids like shipping right now."
And like
it actually seems believable. Not even seems, it is believable.
I mean, there was the one There was the run where they like were together through separate dimensions. I don't know if you read that one. That one was heartbreaking, and that felt like I was like, I need my boy Miles to take a W. Peter, I don't care about you right now. Like this man is out here like spidering.
You had your chance.
Yeah. Oh my God! Please don't read the current run of Spider-Man right now. It is down horrendous.
They're always back and forth.
This one is definitely back, way back. But
as
yes,
long as it doesn't fall back to One More Day territory, it's okay.
It's worse than that.
That is impossible.
Yeah, no. Peter
Day is.
Peter got cucked.
That one.
Yeah.
No, that one's not as bad as One More Day.
It's the
bad.
worst.
It's very bad. I will give you. It's one of the, and as far as situations go, it's one of the worst things to happen to Peter.
They have officially rated this one as the worst comic. That's why I say that. Like comic people agree that this is the worst one. Like they said is worse than One More Day and worse than the one where everybody just keeps dying and Aunt May gets murdered in front of him. Anyway, so yeah. But Strange, you were saying about the scene that's coming up, which I feel like you were going to talk about.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, so the next scene they're kind of doing. It's like a little mini date of like, oh, look at you, look at me. Like, I love their little.
It's
so beautiful. Just
that when Gwen says, "Look at you," I'm like, I want it.
Just speaking to their skills for a second, I love how Miles has been a Spider-Man for half the time as Gwen, less than half the time as Gwen at this point, and he's keeping up with her so easily. The only time he loses track of her at all is when he nearly gets hit by a train, and she takes that opportunity to duck away for a second.
Yeah, I mean, be on some shiesty stuff.
Yeah.
Which again, like I had this conversation with Juan because he's the one that kind of keeps me like rational. Not rational. That's a bad word. He's the one that kind of keeps me like, because at first,
Grounded.
yeah, kind of grounded, but like, because we talked about it on the way back home after the second time, and he was like, I gotta ask you because I know how you are. How do you feel about like what Gwen did to our boy? And I was like, honestly, I was very upset the first time when I saw it. I was like, how you gonna do that? And then the second time, I'm like, what was she supposed to do? Like, I couldn't tell you all something like that. But anyway, but before we get to that, we had this beautiful web singing scene, like where, like, just pure artistry. But to me, and probably the most beautiful part of the movie, is the city, the skyscraper, bro, and just like you got Another Dimension playing by Pop Boy or whatever his name is, like, and it's like Another Dimension, and it's like Gwen's like walking sideways and sitting there, and the city's just upside down, and then Miles is hanging, and then they're like, we're the same in the ways that it matters. I'm sitting here like, if this movie ended right now, it would be a 10. Like, it's so.
It's like, look, you already sold it. You don't have to keep pitching.
He's already dead. Stop. But yeah,
and then the whole party scene after that, where it's like, oh, these little things are like deep fried feelings. I can't remember what he called them.
Plantanos?
Yeah, Platanos. Thank you. I was like, I can't remember.
he's like, they're just. Yeah, he's just like, these are just deep fried fillings. And I just
didn't mean to ice your game, man.
I love Rio's old observation of just looking over. It's like, she looks old enough to vote.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to ice your game,
she doesn't
man.
even speak Spanish.
He's like, and then you got Miles' dad in the background, like commentary. He's like, oh, he's like, well, not everybody speaks Spanish, It's just like, so, yeah, and y'all, well, we are going on an hour.
No,
here,
that's
so.
what I'm saying. I don't even think we're gonna make it halfway.
We haven't even got to the 30-minute point. We haven't even crossed the dimension yet. Anyway, turns out. So, quick speed run. Turns out Spot's still around. He came back, made a mini collider, gave himself more spots so he could do more things. So he could go find a big collider and basically become a god demon, destroy the multiverse kind of thing. And Gwen has to run off to go do her shady shit. Nice little, truly heartfelt scene that they put for every trailer for this movie. And yeah, when you see the whole thing, you understand why. Between Rio and Miles. And it ends with her giving him permission to run after her and go get the girl. And he's just like, all right, I promise, I'll be back. It won't. Runs off, sees she's doing some shady shit, so he goes invisible and just follows her, and gets the whole like spiel of why hasn't been invited to be the Well, not the whole spiel. He gets hints as to why he hasn't been invited to join the Spider Society.
Yeah, that's just I'm like, I don't know. Some people were trying to justify Miguel's like, oh, if you've been trying to fix this for over a year, kind of thing, and you know the exact cause of it, but
Here's
I'm
the
like,
thing. He doesn't though. He doesn't know the exact cause, and Miles is living proof that he doesn't know the exact cause.
Yeah, there's so many inconsistencies in Miguel's story. Like, if Miles was the original anomaly, why is his universe not disintegrated?
Why is his universe not disintegrated? Why is Universe 42 not disintegrated? There is so many.
Or why hasn't Miles disintegrated? Because if that altered his DNA, so much later in the movie we find out it's from Earth 42.
Yeah, so that's the weird inconsistencies with that, but it basically boils down to Gwen has to leave to go to the what's I always fuck up pronouncing that. It's not
Mumbattan.
Mumbattan, and
Mumbai and
into
Manhattan.
the Spider-Man India universe, and Miles. Knowing he's going to go through the whole glitch thing, knowing he's going to have to deal with that shit, just decides, well, she needs me more than they do right now, and jumps through the portal to go after her. Which is where we get the whole fight with Spot, and two of the best characters in the entire fucking movie.
Yes.
And the end of that sequence is what leads us into Miles being brought into Spire Society, and getting the remainder of the spiel just being like, yeah, you can't, it's canon that people gotta die, and if you save them and break the canon, you could break the universe.
Which... That
Again,
also was,
we already went over a few plot holes.
That was also a little inconsistent because what showed up wasn't a glitchy anomaly, but like something from Spot that was falling apart. That's what I noticed. I'm like, that's not even the glitch. Like what Miguel showed through his flashback.
That was like leftover Spot shit.
Yeah, that's something completely different.
Yeah, and. Part of those canon events is that a police captain close to Spider-Man has to die, which entirely goes against what Spider-Man's about. If someone is in need, you go try to save them. You save as many as you can. It's almost the Shiro Emiya thing. Who cares what happens to you? Go and save the people. Which is the entire toxic part of Spider-Man's ideology. And why he can never have a life of his own. And all of these other spider people, a part of this society, have been convinced to go along with that, either through some other fear, some trauma, or some other kind of crazy shit. So they're all going along with it. Miles doesn't have that baggage. So he's straight up questioning it. He straight up looks Miguel in the face and goes, so you're telling me I have to let people die based on what an algorithm says? You realize how messed up that is?
Yeah, and it's one of the things that you see like a lot of the community say is that like Miles' Spider-Man would do the same thing Miles is doing. Like any real Spider-Man worth a damn would do the same thing that Miles is doing. And people have argued that's why the 90s Spider-Man is not there. That's why
Tobey, Garfield, and
Tom
Holland aren't there.
And also why like Spider Noir isn't there. Like because he was
why none of the crew except for Penny,
she has been through stuff,
she has been through some serious
I
trauma.
can't wait to see that. I can't wait. I'm sorry, not like that, but like I can't wait to see that like it animated.
Yeah,
she's in the Ava unit.
Her whole comic run is heavily inspired by Evangelion.
I read it. I went and read it. It's so dark.
Good.
It's
It
so
is dark as hell. I definitely recommend that run for anybody who wants to read it. But yeah, so you get Miguel being way too antagonistic with this shit. Like, straight up traps Miles and tends to hold him there against his will for 2 days, knowing his father is gonna die if he doesn't do anything because he's about to be promoted to captain. And the only person who's actually willing to help Miles at this moment is fucking Spider-Punk, Hobie Brown.
Mhm.
Giving him some
Obi Brown.
reminding him of some advice from before. And the moment Miles frees himself from that first trap and starts running, Hobie's just like, by the way, I quit. Just throws the shit out and pieces out. And then you see that chase sequence to end all chase sequences.
And there's a theory, because they say Peter B. Parker, the one with the Mayday, the one in the yeah, there's
The
like
one who's finally a father.
He was the only one that could actually keep up with Miles. Everyone's like, this Spider-Man's probably almost as strong as Miles is because he kept up with him the whole time.
Peter B. Parker. His
Okay,
Miles' mentor.
Yeah.
The one from 616B.
Yeah, he is definitely. I mean, he's on another level. He knew where Miles was going.
Yeah. He's been Spider-Man for 20 years. And he's the one who taught Miles initially. He knows this kid.
Yeah, which is hilarious. I love how he just, like, everybody's just running after him. He's like, nah, I'm going to go this way. Like, which still, though, like, and then there's the theory that Miles was able to evade all the other Spider people because he was on the defensive, and that's when Spider-Man's at his best, when his Spidey sense is, like, fully active, because the other Spider-Man didn't have their spider sense to help them catch Miles. I was like, yeah.
That's fair. Miles definitely uses his spider sense more effectively than anyone else at that moment.
Yeah.
The only one who can get around him is Peter B. Parker. Gwen ends up snagging him for a second, but he probably also doesn't consider her a threat at that point, so she has an advantage there. And you could say the same thing about Peter, but he straight up webs him and pulls him out of the chase entirely, avoiding everyone so they can have a quick moment.
And just hold the baby.
Of holding the baby.
Just hold the baby.
Just
It's very...
It's very rejuvenating. I'm plenty rejuvenated.
Yeah, I just, oh, Lord, those scenes of humor before the triumphant scene of, like, him being like, you knew, that messed me up.
Oh.
Yeah.
These directors, writers, the anime, everyone here is basically a master of that flow, going from something super serious to hilarious to freaking depressing and heartbreaking to triumphant. That is masterful. Fucking anyone who wants a career there, take notes.
Yeah, it's so good. And then just the whole thing with, like, the whole speech of that his mom gave him kind of coming to fruition, and Miles being the one, like,
you don't belong here. Oh God!
Shout out to Oscar Isaac for doing that too. Like, I'm gonna keep shouting Oscar Isaac out. And shout out to Shamik Moore, bro, for like that whole Lord, man. Listen.
Best fucking line in the there's a lot of damn good lines. Easily quotable movie, but still, I think the best one is Miles. They use it in the trailers. Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Iconic.
Yeah.
That was good.
Basically every inspirational poster wrapped up into one quote.
Yeah, that was literally like, ooh, and then he stood up, bro, and he's like, I lured all your hundreds of Spider-Men out here. And then he stood up on the train, and he had that smug look on his face. I was like, oh Lord. And then he's like, goodbye, Gwen. That's his last words, and he dipped. I was like, ooh. And then you had Peter B. Parker being like, I taught him that.
I
too.
taught him that.
I got to be a pretty good mentor.
We gotta be a pretty good mentor, right?
I could be way off base with this, but I like the idea of him initially like being, come on, the kid had a bad mentor. He never stood a chance. Just putting that shit on him. To him being like, I got to be pretty good if this kid's that good. As a way for him to like give himself a little confidence in raising his daughter now.
Yeah. And I love the whole Jessica Drew thing too, when she's like, "You're a horrible mentor," and he was like, "Oh, I recall that he just beat you." And then Miguel O'Hara just runs by. He's like, "You both suck.
You both suck."
You're both equally terrible.
Come on, Miguel. You're not even at least been funny. You're the least funny out of all of us here. We're Spider-Man. We're supposed to be.
You're so serious.
You're so serious.
We're supposed to be funny.
The whole
Miguel
movie,
can
man.
get. I do like how the animators let Miguel be kind of like a freaking horror movie monster.
Or like a gorilla panther, a blue panther.
You're the Blue Panther. No.
No.
Dark Garfield.
Dark Garfield. Oh.
Yeah.
That was
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh. When he was slowly coming down on that thing, there's like, it's really slow. Yeah.
It's this thing.
But no, I'm talking about when Miles is in the go home machine trying to get out of there, and Miguel busts through the doors, eyes murderous, and just tries to tear the damn thing apart to get to Miles.
Yeah, because he's literally clawing through dimensions at that point, which is crazy.
Fucking
Broken.
insane. I also love how Spider-Bite had like one interaction with Miles, and the moment she sees that he's in trouble and everyone in Spider Society is trying to get him, she's just like, nah, this ain't worth it.
Nah.
This ain't for me.
Man, I'm so like the end of the
siding with
movie.
the kid.
The end of the movie. Just all of it. The whole ending of the movie. Well, first off, there was the whole thing with Gwen confronting her father, and then Hobie dropping off the interdimensional watch thing that Hobie
he
made.
made his own watch.
Yeah. From like stealing bits and pieces from Miguel's building, which I thought was hilarious.
Which, honestly, I think he's been doing this for a while.
Oh, definitely.
Because
Oh, definitely.
to keep the glitching thing from happening for the whole group at the end of the movie, each one of them has to have a watch. Unless they kept the watches from Miguel that Miguel gave them, which could be tracked, I doubt Hobie would have been okay with that. And so I think he's just been stealing this shit and making his own watches so he can hand them out to his band.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, like, you just get the reveal, which you kind of get a subtle hint, like, if you pay attention. Because at the beginning of the movie, they said, this is Miles Earth 1610. And then at the end, he's like, all right, I got to go home. But then it's like, the computer shows up, like, Earth 42.
Earth 42.
I was like, no, that's not his home. And I kept turning to, like, my wife next to me, and I was like, that's not his home. That's like, he ain't going home. Oh, no, it's going to be awful. I was just so excited. And then you have Gwen looking, and pretty much Gwen, Scarlet Spider, 2099, and Jessica.
Jessica Drew. Yeah.
All looking for Miles in his dimension, but he's not there. And then you have
Yeah,
Gwen,
that was wild.
I find this kind of funny, though. I didn't realize this till I saw a video on it. But the three spider people who are gung-ho for the canon and willing to and want to trap and or fight Miles are three that never got bit by the spider. They were never bit. Their genetics was altered through some scientific bullshit. Miguel wanted to recreate superheroes. His asshole boss got him addicted to a drug, and to get off of it, he played around with genetics of himself and a spider, and that's how he turned into Spider-Man. Jessica Drew has a myriad of freaking origin stories, almost on par with Wonder Girl from DC. But the one that they typically go back to is her parents worked for the High Evolutionary, and to cure her from a sickness, they played around with her genetics into spiders, and that's how she got her powers.
Yeah.
And then Ben Reilly's just a clone. So take the clone of someone with spider powers, play around with genetics, Ben Reilly.
Yeah, and then you got Spider Punk, whose whole backstory is crazy, because he's the original Prowler, which a lot of people don't know if you weren't versed in the comics.
Yes, Hobie Brown in Universe 616, the main Marvel series, is known as the original Prowler. They changed it in the Ultimate Comics Dimension 1610 to Aaron Davis so that he could have a tie-in with Miles when Miles became Spider-Man. And around the time the Spider-Verse event in the comics was being done, they decided to go back to Hobie Brown and make him Spider-Punk. Why? Don't really know why they chose to do that, but it works out great for this movie.
Parallels, that's why.
Yeah. And the fact that Donald Glover was also in the movie, like, as himself, or, like, as real life.
Oh, yeah. That was
which
funny.
was great, because he's the whole reason we have Miles Morales, which a lot of people don't know. No, directly. He is. The creators credit it to him. Because he was in the episode of Community wearing the
Spider-Man thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then he made a joke about Black Spider-Man, and then the creators of Miles Morales were like, yo, like, let's base this guy off of Donald Glover from Community.
Yeah, they based the look of him in the comics off that, and designed him to look like Donald Glover, but I thought they were already wanting to make a... I thought that's how they decided on the final design of him, not the entire inspiration for the character.
Well, the inspiration to make him black was from Donald Glover and his joke about, like, you know, why ain't there ever a Spider-Man for the hood? Like, there's a whole thing about it, and I watched a video on it the other day, and the creators, because it's like a man and a woman, they are both white, but they literally credit Donald Glover for the creation of Miles Morales, and that's why he gets so much love, because he was the first person to voice him in the DC Ultimate Avengers, and he was Miles' uncle in the DC, or what's it called? Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU.
In the MCU.
Because
And,
I saw
like,
that deleted scene where he was actually talking to Miles on the phone. I was like, no, they should have left that in there. Why? That would have been so
because
cool.
Because they hate us.
Ugh.
Well, not really, because directing is hard, and we respect them. But no, this.
I think you were closer with the first one.
Yeah, they hate us. But anyway, like, regardless of what his, like, he has a huge connection to Miles, and seeing him in the movie, like, was just, a chef's kiss. I was like, yes, yes.
A prowler. It's rude to stare.
And
And then Hobie goes, caught that one myself. Caught that one.
This movie was so good.
so
It is a
good.
giant circle that they just drew and said, here you go, make it work. Make it
I
work.
thought you were about to say something else.
No.
Strange.
I don't know
honestly,
what. But
Start doing the
Honestly-
hand motion.
God damn it.
I don't know what
I
you're
just
talking
got where you were going with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love how the first one was its own thing. They didn't intend for a sequel. Weren't even sure if they would ever get it. But since they got approved for 2 sequels, they decided to write both of them together and do the whole thing in a row. The freaking Back to the Future idea. Except Back to the Future still had some inconsistencies with their shit. This is all the way through the same thing. Like, if there wasn't that 5-year gap in between the movies, I would just assume they wrote all 3 together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, great fucking movie. Definitely recommend. If you made it this far without having seen it, you did yourself dirty.
Yeah, you really did.
shit, I'm gonna watch the first one again, and then and then see if I can plan a day where I can go watch it again. Just talking about it gets me in the mood to watch it again.
I was
Same.
thinking I definitely
feel
want to rewatch it.
I can't wait to get on DVD. It's
Men
gonna
of
be
your
so
age
great.
ignore their
It's
mental
gonna
health
be
too much.
so great. Are you serious?
It is a mental health day. Every day is a mental health day when you're watching Spider-Man. But yeah, there's so much more to talk about. You will probably see more content. Just
We could
eventually.
easily tie up another
Another
3
hour
hours just talking about this movie. And that's not even getting on predictions for the next one. So we got to find a cutoff somewhere, and this is as good a place as any.
Yeah. So for more content, because we will be giving more content. Come back, stick around. We're sorry we left, but we're happy you came back. We love you. We think you're beautiful, and you can change the world. And you can follow
Anyone
us.
can wear the mask.
Yes, anyone can wear the mask.
Could have been anybody
Anyone.
behind that mask.
Mm-hmm. And that's the whole idea of Spider-Man. Anyway, before I start crying about Stan Lee, yeah. Anywho, you
It'll
can
fit
catch this
eventually.
podcast here on YouTube and just YouTube for the time being. So, and you can find Strange on YouTube on this podcast for the time being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things in life going on. Keep tuning into YouTube.
Yes.
Keep your hand on the pulse.
Yes. Boop, 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 boop. And we will catch you here on the next one.